Hey guys, I'm real excited to share this with you. In fact, I had planned a deep dive into the scriptures, some Catholic apologetics. I got two Bibles marked because there were so many scriptures. I had to put that aside till later, Lord willing. I'll do it later today. But I'm used to, all my life I had jobs I had to wake up super early. So even though the job I have now, I get to sleep in till like 5 o'clock every morning, I still wake up at like 3 o'clock. And normally I'll just read and pray and try and fall back to sleep for an hour or so. But this morning I couldn't fall back to sleep. I read, I prayed. So I went online and a video popped up, and it was debate. The Bible teaches Catholic authority, not sola scriptura. And I seen a Protestant I was familiar with for my 30 years of being a Protestant, one of the top renowned theologians and scholars in Protestantism, Dr. James White. I think in this debate, he said it was his 190th debate. And the picture of the guy he was going against was a YouTuber that I like, but I really don't follow him. Every once in a while, a video pop up and I see him, and he seems like a nice guy, knowledgeable. But I was like, this kind of seems like a mismatch. And if you listen when they get introduced, although they introduced the Catholic guy first, I just want to tell you about the Protestants guy introduction. Professor, theologian, pastor, author of like 40 books or something. In fact, Dr. James White has a doctorate degree in theology, a doctorate degree in ministry, master's degree in theology and just a very educated man, knows the Bible very well, and is an experienced debater, going against the guy that I was like, man, this guy's got some guts to go against Dr. James White. Does he know who he's going against? So they introduce his opponent as Alex. They don't even say his last name. Lifelong Catholic, catechesis. He's taught catechism in church, and he's an apologist, and has a YouTube channel called Voice of Reason, and big on TikTok and Instagram. And that's it. I'm like, man, does this guy Alex know what he's getting into? And apparently Alex knew, because Alex said to Dr. James White, this is an honor. I grew up watching you, because Alex is a young guy, I don't know, 20s, maybe early 30s. Dr. White's probably in his 60s, I would guess. Been around for a while debating, and he's debated the top Catholic apologists, scholars. I was surprised that he would even take a debate with a regular guy. Catholic Layman, very humble. And so Alex gets up there and says, yeah, after 5 guys refused, they finally settled for me, and I'm excited to be here. I feel like a kid in a candy shop. And yesterday I was talking about when we evangelize, or when we try and convince people to change their political views. I gave some sales techniques, but one thing I forgot to say is, you got to get people to like you and trust you. If they like you and they trust you, they'll buy what you're selling. And I got to tell you, not in a gay way, but I really like this guy. There's just something about this guy. He's a very likable kid. And you can see, he was in a Baptist church. He went into the arena. He went into enemy territory. He went into a Baptist church. I was a former Protestant, and Baptists are like the most anti-Catholics. And this kid went in there, and I think he won them over. I think even James White gave him a hug and said, man, I love this guy. He's just a likable guy. And I think he won the audience over. He won me over. Like I said, I never really watched him, and I was like, man, I got to meet this guy. So Lord willing, I can get him on the show and we can talk about this, because I was blown away. Because in my opinion, and I'm giving you an honest opinion, and if he lost the debate, he would have had nothing to be ashamed of, because Dr. James White is a scholar. He's like an expert debater. People fear, like scholars don't want to debate him because he's so good. So just getting to the arena, he would have had my mad respect. But he won. I'm telling you, he won. So they start off, Alex goes for 17 minutes, and then Dr. White goes for 17 minutes. So the topic was, the Bible teaches Catholic authority, not sola scriptura. So that's what Alex was proving. Dr. James White was proving the Bible teaches sola scriptura, or authority is the Bible alone. So Alex freaking fires off dozens of scripture verses to support our position that the church has authority. The church is our authority, along with scripture and along with tradition. And he fired off. Oh, I'm sorry, I just hit it. I don't know why I did that. Let me show. I was just watching it again. So he fires off like over a dozen, at least, scriptures in context showing the church is our authority. Then Dr. James White, ironically trying to prove sola scriptura, doesn't use one scripture in his 17-minute opening. I'm not even making us. I'm going to put a link and you got to watch this. I was like, whoa. So I was like, Alex won round one, hands down. He won it, man. And I even put in the comment what I just said. It's kind of ironic that the guy arguing for sola scriptura didn't use one scripture verse his first 17 minutes. And a Protestant replied, well, the topic of debate wasn't sola scriptura. I'm like, yes, it was. The topic of the debate was Catholic authority or sola scriptura. Does the church have all authority? Does the church have authority, or is it only sola scriptura? So even the Protestants watching it couldn't defend James White. Clearly, Alex won the debate. I was like blown away. I'm like, dude, and the dude was so humble. Like, I'm telling you, man, you got to watch this debate. But he knew his Bible well. He knew the church's teachings well, and he did phenomenal. What else do I want to say? So basically, I'm not going to give you his arguments. I want you to watch it and, put in the comments, let's bring the Catholic Army in there to, give him props, because honestly, he won the debate. James White kept going to abstracts. He wasn't sticking to the Bible. Then he would attack Pope Francis. He's like, well, Pope Francis teaches things that, the popes in the 1600s didn't teach, and then he starts quoting like what my friends call the best Protestant apologists besides Dr. James White, Dr. Taylor Marshall, because he's like an undercover Protestant pretending he's Catholic. He actually starts saying stuff Taylor Marshall. He says, well, there's prominent Catholics that say your Pope teaches errors. There's prominent Catholics that teach fiducia supplicans is a problem. That's error. That goes away from church teaching. And, if Pope Francis said, who am I to judge, talking about homosexuality, he would be burned at the stake 200 years ago by the Catholic Church. And Alex was on it like white on rice. And he said, show me one place in fiducia supplicans that's different from Catholic teaching, that is an error, that contradicts Catholic teaching. James White couldn't come up with nada, because it doesn't. This is just stuff that anti-Catholics like Taylor Marshall and James White try and use to get people to leave the Catholic Church. So he couldn't answer that question, Alex. And Alex said, he didn't even leave the Pope thing alone. He addressed it head on. And he didn't know what White was going to say. He had to know all this stuff. He's like, Pope Francis was on a plane, talking off the cuff. It wasn't a magisterial statement, but the context was he was asked about a priest. He said, if a priest is gay but celibate, now you're talking about a priest who's gay, has inclination to be gay, but he's celibate and he's trying to be holy, who am I to judge? James White wouldn't argue with that. Should you judge the man? You don't know the guy's heart. If he is celibate, he's not committed homosexual sins, and he says he's trying to be holy, who am I to judge? So he nailed him on those two, and White had no comeback for either one. But the whole debate was like that. And then they had like 7-minute rebuttals. And again, Dr. White started using some scripture, but very little. But Alex kept bringing it. He knew the Bible. He kept bringing it. So I'm going to try and put it in my links. I think I can do it. And I'll put it on my community board. So if that's easier, just to go on the community and watch it. It's a worthwhile debate. Again, Alex, I don't even know the guy's last name. Like, he was so humble. Just Alex from Voice of Reason. And, he has a really deep baritone voice, really deep, strong voice. And kind of sounds like Sylvester Stallone and Rocky. Kind of, but Sylvester Stallone and Rocky sounded stupid. purposely because he was trying to be stupid in the movie Rocky. This guy did not sound stupid. This guy sounded as much of a scholar as Dr. James White, honestly. But he just had that deep voice, so it kind of reminded you of Rocky. So I'm telling you, it was like Rocky the underdog knocking out Apollo Creed the champion. And I put that in the comments too. So I was like so psyched. I'm like, man, this dude is the man. This guy's got my respect. Alex, the voice of reason. And not only did he defend the church's teaching on authority, he defended Papa. He defended our Pope Francis. That was so refreshing, you know. A lot of guys are afraid to, lose followers because they defend the Pope. How ironic that is, but that's the world we live in. But this guy's got my respect, man. And like I said, just a likable kid. You could tell the audience liked him. And James White, and even James White admitted, James White he said he's had 9 debates on sola scriptura. He had 190,000 debates, so he's an expert debater. But he had 9 debates with Catholic apologists, theologians, and scholars. And he said, he didn't say Alex was the best. I don't think he wanted to offend these other guys. But he said, honestly, I can say Alex gave the audience more give and take, more information to examine than anybody ever debated. And I agree. That was Alex is the man. He's a freaking monster. Somebody said he's a monster debater. I agree. He's a beast. And dude, honestly, how scary would that be? You're defending the Catholic Church against a scholar. And he just brought it, man. He brought it. And you could tell he was having fun. That kid was smiling. He was excited, man. It was such a blessing to watch, man. My heart was blessed. I'm like, God, man, thank you for Alex. He's a gift to the church. And yeah, so I recommend watching it. And my takeaway is, watch him and learn. He has no great title, scholar, theologian, apologist, pastor, professor like Dr. White. But his love for God and his love for the church led him into the scriptures to defend the church. And he did an exceptional job. If I haven't made that known, he did an exceptional job. But most of all, he did it in love. And you see, he had love, and he had peace, he had the fruits of the Spirit. St. Peter said, always be ready to give a defense for the faith that lies in you. But speak it in love and truth. Speak it in love. He spoke it in love, and he told Dr. James, it's an honor just being on the same stage. I'm glad those other 5 people refused. He knew he was the last resort. But yet God knew, just like David. David was the last choice, but David was the man for the job. Alex was the man for the job. I'm telling you, Alex stepped up to the plate, and I can't say enough about it. He won hands down. He brought the scripture to the Sola Scriptura guy, and the Sola Scriptura guy had no answers in my view. Watch it and let me know what you think of it. So check it out. God bless. Stay Catholic. Stay tuned. I'm going to try and get to my apologetics later. Like I said, I got 2 Bibles with notes in it because I had so many scripture to defend our faith. So God bless and stay Catholic.